All right, I kid. He did. A couple years ago, him and Ryan came out together.
Thank you, buddy.
He's really going to come out when it's 50.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's why he's inviting everybody. But he didn't tell y'all it's going to be at Caliente, which is a nude resort. Because he wants to see everybody else naked now. He's like, Ryan and Mule, that's not enough. Right? And, you know, originally, Matt was looking to do this yesterday. But then he thought it was a little bit disrespectful, you know, because his life partner, BBC, you know, that kind of stuff. So then he thought about doing it tomorrow, but for the same reasons, he thought that was disrespectful.
Didn't get it, Craig.
It didn't go the way I hoped it did.
It's all right.
But he chose to do it today because it was West Virginia Day.
That is true story. True story.
You know, during the Civil War, you know, you got 1863 or 7, whichever it was 163 years ago. You know, we finally decided we was going to break away from Virginia during the Civil War and become our own state. And now, 163 years later, every time I tell somebody I'm from West Virginia, I get told, oh, I got family in Richmond. Can we relate?
Yes.
Absolutely. Right? So, you all know who I am. I'm Craig Jeffrey.
Hi, Craig.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
Who are you?
I'm alcoholic.
If this is not good, I'm Mule. My name's Kevin Kitchen. But last year, I just retired last year after 20 years as a firefighter paramedic. Thank you guys. And I know what you're all thinking too. He don't look anything like the guys in the calendars. I get it. I look more like the guys that they like to use in like a firefighter fitness ad. It's the before picture still.
I'm the before people.
Hey, I'm with you. Or like the hot guy that they like to use in pamphlets. Like heat stroke pamphlets. Man, I sweat bad.
Don't we all?
Right? But we spent 20 years, run a bunch of medical calls, and occasional structure fire, and in the end, you end up with high blood pressure, bad back, bad knees, more psych issues than Kanye West, and an overzealous doctor that wants to check your prostate. Because I know all you guys know that when you get my age, every time you go to the doctor, that's all they want to do is put their finger in your ass. I tried to avoid that shit as long as I could. Truth is I've got enough kinks the way it is. Anymore, I'm gonna start getting invited to fill in for Diddy.
You just want to find a doctor with a bigger finger, don't
But they did finally wear me down, and I gave in. Last time I went to the dentist.
you? You didn't know what to think when you had your things on.
So I found out recently I like a finger mask. So now I'm out shopping doctors like I'm addicted to opiates. And instead of oxys, I'm tasting knuckles.
Oh, God.
And I'm not talking about Sonic the Hedgehog's friend either. So you guys can probably relate to this as well. You know, being from West Virginia, you know, it's crazy the amount of people that give us shit for being from West Virginia. Now, I don't know a whole lot about my family history. But what I do know is there's more ancestry than ancestry. And before anybody asks, I don't have a sister. I just fuck my cousins like everybody else does. So when I was in the military, we were out in the field, we were doing some training. And we were out there for a few days, and a buddy of mine, we were sitting there and we're like back to back. And he's like, man, we're like Forrest and Bubba. I said, man, you know what, you're right, we are. I'm Forrest and you're Bubba. And that's when I realized that I'd rather be retarded. Didn't know a lot about strength. So it's probably pretty obvious, but I often get asked, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Lot.
Here's a few examples. I brought up starting an OnlyFans page in front of my mother-in-law at my kid's birthday party. Of course, my wife goes, what the fuck's wrong with you? I don't know what the problem is. It wasn't like I asked her to join. Not yet, we got time. Another example, went to go visit family on Christmas Eve. Got pulled over by a cop. He walks up to the car and he goes, sir, do you know why I pulled you over? So apparently, because you're Jewish and not the Christmas spirit? That wasn't the right answer. I was speeding, it was about a $350 ticket. Last year I went out and I bought my dream car, this bright red convertible Mustang. And I get to the dealership and I'm walking through the doors. And of course all the salespeople, they're looking at me like they're Snoop Dogg and I'm a blunt. But luckily I'd already called ahead and talked to somebody, so he came out and he saved me. So after a couple strokes of the keyboard, I'm sorry, I just messed that up, apologize. Luckily he came out and he saved me. So we're sitting there at his desk and we're talking, and after a while we came to agreement. And I make my way back to the finance office and I'm talking to the lady back there. And then a couple strokes of the keyboard, it's like bam. It was like $200 more than what we agreed on. I said, look, I can't afford that. The deal I made out front, that's what I can afford. She's like, well, let me bring in the finance manager. So he walks in and he's like, I'm here to help. How does this sound? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push your first payments out for 3 months. That sounds pretty good. 3 months you give me, 3 months of me not being able to make payments. That's at least 6 months before y'all repossess it. I laughed, she laughed, and of course he's just looking at me like, what the fuck's wrong with you? It's crazy I'm getting cotton mouth. I guess that's what happens.
Your Mugs family, you're good.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. All right, so by show of hands, how many people here eat ass? I'll go first.
Hold on, I gotta. Oh my God.
Because I'm willing to take my chances with pink eye.
Wait a minute, he's not done. There's more to it, guys.
Because I'm willing to take my chances with pink eye over blue balls any day. But you know what I bet nobody's ever seen before? A dog with pink eye. I mean, they lick their ass like it's a Tootsie Pop. Still no pink eye. I got 2 giant Great Danes in my house. They lick their ass. They lick each other's ass. If I walk in there, they sniff my ass. Any one of you guys come to my house, they're gonna sniff your ass. Still no pink eye. I think it's because they commit. Because if you're gonna be about that life, you gotta be about that life. No half-ass and eating ass, I guess. The world may never know. So like I said, I spent 20 years firefighter paramedic, and during COVID I got asked, which vaccine should I take? Like I fucking know. I mean, I had an answer, but like I know. I was like, well, Moderna, I don't know anything about that. But Johnson & Johnson, they fucked up baby powder. But Pfizer created Viagra. If you can give a heart on to a 90-year-old, that's a miracle. Some say it's God's will. Johnson & Johnson, they got pulled from the market because they was causing people to have like blood clots and strokes. And Pfizer, they're causing people to stroke, but it's in a much better way. Sorry, I'm trying to remember what was next. I apologize, guys.
All right, Craig, you got this, buddy. Come on. Oh.
I just gotta look at the list and see what jokes.
He hadn't told you yet.
Unless Ryan can remember something that I've not said.
You go back to roasting Matt.
That's too easy.
Do it.
By Kevin.
Roast Matt.
Kevin's really easy too.
Split tongue.
So,
$20. Tell us about your nickname.
so with Kevin, like,
Lee has that story.
so with Kevin, I think we all know, like, I don't know if you guys know or not, but Kevin, like his first tattoo was he got Matt's name tattooed on his shoulder.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true, I swear.
It is, I saw him.
Show it, show
Well,
Okay.
it was actually Mule in Old English letters, but it really did look like it said Matt. He got it covered up since then.
it. You said mule. Did it say mule?
He did say Mule. That's what it actually said, but it didn't look like it. It looked like it actually said Matt.
It still was the best $125 I ever spent. Sorry.
So do we have any guys in here that vape?
Oh, that's it.
Yeah?
Ryan.
Anyone else, gang? So let's think about it. You got all those fruity flavors. Blueberry, raspberry, strawberry, banana. It's never anything manly. Like beech nut, hickory, Marlboro. And then when like they exhale, it's always like 1945's Nagasaki, Japan. So because Ryan is actually, he vapes, so that's kind of why I wrote this joke. But I've always given my friends a hard time. And usually it's in the form of a question. Like, you know how I know you're gay? When did you start sucking dick? Those kind of things. But you know, sometimes in life you say something, and it comes back to bite you in the ass. Then you gotta ask yourself, all right, am I gonna dig in, or am I gonna backtrack? Here's where I'm digging in. So I recently went out and I got a medical marijuana card. My man.
That explains a lot.
And it seems that I prefer to vape my medications. But here's where I'm digging in. So when you think about weed, you think about names like Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson. Snoop ain't sucking dick. And Willie, when he sings about cowboys, it's not Brokeback Mountain.
And he's living forever.
Yep. And you know, then when you get to it, you think about those vapes, they're like these big blocky vapes. And then usually when they exhale, it's kind of like you've got this heavyset guy named Kyle riding down the road in his Honda Civic. It looks like it's on fire because it's smoking everywhere. But with me, what I like to do is I've got this really thin, sleek camouflage vape pen that I use. And when I exhale, what I like to do is kind of like Thomas the Train. It's like these little short, tight bursts. Now that I think about it, that sounds pretty good. So now it's got me wondering, am I just a hypocrite, or am I actually gay?
I guess we'll never know.
That's usually what I get told every time I tell that joke. I usually get told both. So you hear a lot of people these days, they're talking about like the dangers of AI. Is AI something that everybody's worried about? No? Me neither.
Yeah, kind of.
I've got a best friend AI. His name's Alex. And just like a prostitute, he performs better if I pay for the upgrades. He's even told me you get what you pay for it. Which really sucks because I have the free version. Which probably explains the spelling mistakes and the herpes. All right, that's probably on me. But the main reason I'm not really worried about AI is because now I can go on Facebook and I can talk shit without looking stupid. Before AI, I would sit there and I'd write a post or leave a comment, and I'd sit back thinking, man, I really proved a point there. I think that was gold. And then I'd wait, pins and needles, the first comment pop up. I get all excited, I start looking at my heart's racing. Open it up. I think you meant TWO, not TOO. Fuck me. Every time.
Boo Kelly.
Exactly. So what I do is I run all of my posts through AI first, like it's my personal lawyer. Because you guys know, being from West Virginia, we know all the help we can get. Spellings, punctuation, definitely not my strong suit.
Ain't nothing your strong suit.
Thanks, buddy, I appreciate it. But now with AI, my posts go from why you are an idiot to why you possibly are an idiot. So when they ask me, are you concerned about the dangers of AI? No. I'm more worried about getting picked on by strangers on the internet and fifth graders, so. So I learned early on about bathroom etiquette when it comes to living with a woman. I learned right off the bat that if I piss on the seat, she sits down. If I leave the seat up, she sits down in it. So what I did was I thought, you know what, the easiest way to settle this is for me to just sit down and pee. So I sat down and pee. It is what it is, I'm proud of that. Keeps me out of trouble. But I've also got a 12-year-old little boy. And he refuses to listen to what I'm telling him. So now I go into the bathroom and he pisses on the seat. I sit down in it. At 3 a.m., if I go in there and the lid's up, now my balls hit the water. And I'm gonna be honest with you, nothing wakes you up more at 3 a.m. than basically baptizing your balls in the water of the pool. So when it was my wife, it's one thing, but now that it's me, this shit's gotta stop.
Have to get your nut licked, Craig.
Well, there's other things I gotta do way before then. I gotta get extensions and all kinds of shit. So, vibrators, I'm sorry.
Where did that come from?
I'll get there. So I guess at this point, I just want you ladies to know I'm an ally. When it comes to bathroom, I'm an ally. I get it. I've been there. I understand what you're saying. So like I said, I'm an ally. So I think it's safe to say, because vibrators were invented in the 1800s. So it's safe to say that a man is the one that invented a vibrator. I mean, if that's not the ultimate case of mansplaining, I don't know what is. So the way I look at it is probably around like the 1960s. There was like a group of NASA engineers, and they're all sitting around and they're thinking, man, I think I've figured it out. One guy in the back, he's like, what if we give it more power? Okay. Then you've got the next guy, he's, what if we make it 3 stages? Okay. And then you've got the one guy who's back there, and the last thing he says is, well, what if we make it waterproof? Because you never know when you're going to have an emergency splashdown. Sorry. I never said I was great at this, by the way. Just in case anybody's wondering, I've been doing this for like 15 months. So like when I describe it to people, when they're like asking me, they're like, "Oh, how long have you been doing comedy?" It's like, it's kind of like a baby, like 15 months. I think it sounds better that way. But
It's all right.
so that's about all I've got tonight. And I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you laughing. I appreciate everybody coming. I appreciate Matt for always talking. I really appreciate him paying for it. And then when I get off the stage, then I can go get something a little harder to drink. The biggest concern was getting up here.
You did
And he
good.
said it was going to be about, thank you. And that was like, it's going to be about 9 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, well, just so you know, I plan on drinking. So here's probably what's going to happen. Either I'm way too drunk to remember my jokes, or I'm just going to get up here and just start talking a bunch of shit.
No, it's good.
So luckily I remembered some of my jokes. I still talk some shit, and I appreciate you guys for laughing. And
I was watching him drink all night long, by the way.
thank you guys.
That's right, let's give a round of applause. It takes a lot of guts to get to do that.